Hey y'all, welcome to I Got a Story to Tell. I'm your host, Niambi Kiesha, holistic wellness practitioner, hoodoo spiritist, and Bronx native. And during our time together, I will share some of my musings on all things life, spirit, plants, and parenting. So get comfortable and let's dive right in. Hey y'all. So welcome to another week of the I Got a Story to Tell podcast. I'm so happy to be back this week. What a difference a week makes, right? So first off, you will notice we have a new setup, right? I have shifted some things around in my life as well as in my physical space, and it's going to tie right into what we talk about and where we dive deep this episode. So last week we were joined by the amazing Sation Conchella, and we talked about all things around the power of manifestation. But before that, it was just me, and I was talking about how much May was a transformational month for me and how much had taken place. And I mentioned this 28-day breakthrough course that I was taking through, well, on the Channing Nicholas app. And in the time from when I recorded that episode, so that would have been 2 weeks ago, I was just completing the 28-day breakthrough course. And I was deciding whether or not I was going to do it again. So I talked about, how during that course, I had to set some intentions and it brought some things to the surface for me. And it allowed me to just peel back some layers and get to the root of some things. And the thing that I realized, I did decide to start the program again, and I started maybe almost immediately. So I'm somewhere around day 16, which would be about 2 weeks from when I finished it last. But the thing that it made me realize going through the course this second time, I decided to hold the same intention. And now it feels like when I first did it, it was like tipping or, dipping my toe in the water. It was just like step one or peeling back this first layer around this intention in this area that I wanted to have a breakthrough. And now that I'm doing it again, I see, and this ties directly into what we talked about with the power of manifestation. I asked for something, I set an intention, I started doing work around that thing, and the universe has started giving me opportunities to strengthen this area of my life. And so I shared part of my intention was around relationships in my life, social, romantic, business, partnerships, platonic, familial, and just really working through how I'm showing up in these different relationships and interactions and addressing the ones that I don't really love the way that either I'm showing up or the space that they're taking up in my life, right? And so I often say that you can do any amount of healing work, prayer, meditation, yoga. You can do all the things in solitude by yourself. And there is power in being in solitude. There is power in being able to step back and go inward and really reflect. There's power in being able to just enjoy yourself in your own company. But I often say that relationships are the testing ground for any work that you are doing. I often say it's no different than if you break a bone and the doctor puts a cast on and your body becomes so used to being enclosed and encased and supported by that cast that the real test for the strength of the bone after it's healed is how can it manage, right? once the cast comes off and once you are back using it, which is why, if you break a bone or something and you were an athlete, yes, you might be a little hesitant at first to get back in the game or go hard. But the only way you can really see how you have healed is to get back out there. And oftentimes, I've never broken a bone. I have one son that broke a bone. But what I've heard is that the bones tend to grow back stronger after injury, right? And so I think the same applies with us. When we are doing any type of healing work, we're really healing ourselves up for our own peace, but also so that we can go out and be at peace in the world, right? We are intended to be in community, we are intended to be in relationship. And when you have these areas of your life that are out of balance that result in the relationships in your life being out of balance, you take the time to recalibrate, but you're doing that so that you can then get back into balance in your partnerships, in your relationships. So again, going back to this 28-day course, for me it feels like I did the 28-day course. I had to get clear about what my intention was. I tweaked it and edited it a few times when I wrote it out. And by the time I got to the end of the 28 days, the first time, I had a clear understanding of some contributing factors that were leading to how things were showing up in my life. Now, fast forward, I go back and do start the course again, also while spirit is bringing these opportunities. It was bringing me opportunities to show up different based on the work that I had done over those 28 days. It was bringing me professional opportunities to see, what do you do, Niambi? Do you stand in your confidence? Do you prepare and know that you are well equipped, ready, willing, and able? Or do you let the limiting beliefs, the stories in your head, get in your mind? Well, maybe not. Well, maybe I'm not this, or maybe I'm not that. Or do I fit the part? Do I look the part? Right? So I had those opportunities where I really had to come face to face with myself and say, this is who you are. And yes, you are equipped. And yes, you're more than ready, willing, and able. And so you walk this path, right? The other thing that happened was spirit brought individuals into my life. And one of them actually happened to be a young lady that I met randomly in the nail salon. And through conversation, came out that she does feng shui. And prior to that, maybe I don't even think it was a full week prior, I had received some messaging about just moving stuff around, moving things around, whether it be moving myself around, moving things around in my house, just movement. Like you needed to move some things around. I got it in a few different ways. Then I met this young lady, and then maybe a couple of days after that, a girlfriend of mine that does readings was we were in conversation, and she said, like, you need to move some stuff around, like move them plants around or something. You need to move some stuff around. And that was when it clicked for me, right? That when I heard the moving on the front end, I wasn't really sure, like, what kind of movement, what are we talking about here? Then I met an individual that specializes in movement, right? How you move things around in your home, in your space, so that energy can move around in your home, in your space. And then I had that, final wrap up, confirmation. So I embarked on this journey, and part of what you're seeing in my new setup was a result of this. But the other thing that came out of this, I would say, even more than the rearranging or moving of furniture, was the decluttering piece, right? And so I spent the last, not today, but a couple of days ago, but 3 days decluttering, because there was no way I was gonna move furniture or rearrange stuff and not declutter. And so maybe about a year ago, a little over a year ago, I got my whole house painted. And what I realized was, first of all, I will never get my house painted once I'm living in it. I will do that when we move in, and that will just have to be what it is. At whatever point that it's time for us to leave where we are, that's a number one, because the hassle and the lift and the load of trying to be in a home that is fully occupied with myself, my children, the dog, all of our stuff, closets, everything, and all of that stuff having to be pulled out. And when the painters came and pulled it out, I remember snapping pictures, and I was thinking, this house looks just like when we moved in, right? But it took a little bit longer than expected for the paint job to be done. I was getting tired. My children were getting tired. We're having to climb over stuff. We can't get comfortable. All of our stuff is all over the place. And so once the job was done, we wanted some sense of normal, and what that looked like was just putting things away what's best we could. And in that moment I realized that we never really put the house back together the way it was before it was painted. But I also didn't use that as an opportunity to clean or declutter, really declutter. And so there were just things everywhere, down to pictures that were up on the wall before they painted that we never put back up. So I can reflect now and realize that there was some limbo in my life, in my home life, right? Um, and if you believe in energy, then you have to believe, or at least I believe, that limbo in my home life, even though I didn't call it that, when I'm looking at it, it helps me understand then there was energy that was in limbo. There was energy that was being emitted to the universe from me that said, I'm not quite sure where I'm at. So I'm trying to call things in, but I'm sort of like teeter tottering, not quite sure where I'm at. One foot in, one foot out, one foot here, one foot there. And these types of awarenesses, these types of um, awarenesses is the best word, only come from peeling back the onion, peeling back the layers, knowing that a cluttered house is more than a cluttered house, knowing that a junky car is more than a junky car, knowing that a workspace that's in disarray is more than a workspace that's in disarray. Our external environment is a representation of what is going on internally for us. And so over those 3 days when I was going through, and I didn't even go through the whole house, I only went through 2 rooms and took easily upward of 4 to 5 bags to Goodwill. I still have stuff in my car, but I realized those were my 2 rooms. I didn't get to my children's rooms yet. A lot of the things that I took, it wasn't clothes, it was books, it was um, canvases, it was wall hangings, it was things that I had collected. Really, I would say over these past 5 years, right? When I have been on this very specific journey, I will put it that way. I shared not too long ago that the one good thing, or I wouldn't say one good thing, but one of the really good things about Facebook memories for me is that it reminds me. Sometimes we can forget who we are. Sometimes we can forget who we've always been. And so you'll hear me say things like, I went from a deaconess to a hoodoo spiritist, because it's always been in me. Spirit has always been in me. Worship has always been in me. Speaking into others has always been in me. Being an encourager has always been in me. Making something out of nothing has always been in me. But sometimes we need reminders, right? And so, to an extent, this has all always been in me. But over these past 5 years, I have done more study, more intentional work. I had notes and notepads and things everywhere, right? And so it made me realize This is an ongoing process. When I first moved into this house, I decluttered from years and years of my life prior to that. And now I am standing at the precipice of my next iteration of Niambi. And it was time for me to declutter those past 5 years. And through decluttering my physical environment, I also decluttered some of my mental thoughts and my limiting beliefs. And I had the opportunity to declutter some of the emotional weight that I was carrying and the sadness and the heaviness. And I got to release it and let it go. And so we do need to realize that what we do in the physical is represented in the spiritual. What we do in the spiritual will be represented in the physical. And when we take these steps, sometimes it's just the first layer. So now I feel like this 28-day course is walking me through the deeper process of what was uncovered during the first 28, right? And so I just wanted to come on and share that. I talk about astrology all the time as well. And so last week we had a full moon in Sagittarius, and that was talking about truth. What is our truth? What is our truth as we know it? What is the truth that maybe we haven't accepted? And that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, right? Like, what is the truth? Our power might be a truth that we haven't accepted. Our love might be a truth that we haven't accepted. Our worthiness might be a truth that we haven't accepted. So, for me to walk through a 28-day course from after my birthday up until a new moon, and I don't remember what that new moon was in, but I walked it up until it may have been the new moon in Scorpio, right? I believe it was. And then peel back that onion layer, that first layer, sort of like take a peek in and decide, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go for it. And then once I said that, Spirit was like, all right, let's hit it. So then we start round two of the 28 days. I receive messaging here. I meet this young lady. I receive confirmation here. I move forward, right? And then I landed in this space in my home, which feels like a representation of the space that I'm currently in. And when I look back on it, the clutter and even the placement of where things were in my home was definitely a representation of some of the weight and the um, thoughts and the past 5 years that I was still carrying. So I wanted to come on and share that this week. I will also like to share two readings. So I have two devotionals that I use in the morning, and I thought that the readings for today in particular were so timely. So I'm going to share them here and then maybe just talk a little bit about it. So the first one is called Ancestors Said. It is one of my favorites. And then the second one is Tried and True Acts of Faith by Iyama. So, Ancestors Said starts with June 16th. Taking care of yourself makes your manifestation stronger. Eat well, have a sleep schedule, breathe deeply, stretch. Your physical and spiritual body will thank you. So that was Ancestors Said. And then, oh, wait a minute. Acts of Faith, June 16th says, and he sent them to heal. Luke 9 and 2. We must realize that the healing power of spirit is within each and every one of us. We have the power to heal not only ourselves, but our world and all those around us. Spirit expressing through us as a kind word, a caring touch, or a simple smile may be all it takes. When we realize who we are, the blessings we have been given, the power we embody, we have tapped into the source of our healing ability. Every day we have at least one opportunity to help a friend, a loved one, or even a stranger. Regardless of the color of our skin, our economic status, our social and political philosophy, it is our responsibility to do what we can when we can to assure that someone else does better. Today, let us become aware of the healing power within and dedicate ourselves to uplifting those we touch. So, first of all, I thought the beauty in this was this book, Ancestors Said by Ahemi Ora, was written 2023. Acts of Faith, this version of Acts of Faith was the 25th anniversary edition. So that means at a minimum, it was written over 25 years ago. The original copyright is 1993 and then 2018. But in both of these books, on June 16th, they talked about the power of healing, the power of taking care of ourselves so that we can be well equipped and prepared to help support others. And we find ourselves in a time right now, as a country, as a people, as a collective, where we need to look out for each other. When we talk about, I don't even like using the term of those in power, but it's the reality. But those in power cannot be who we rely on, right? We have to be able to do it for each other. We have to be able to do it for community. We have to be able to do it and believe that it's our responsibility to do it. But if I'm no good, it's no good, right? That's what one of my guests said a few weeks ago. And so, starting with the idea of taking care of ourselves, unpacking our own histories, unpacking our own experiences, unpacking our own traumas and stories and whatever it is that needs unpacking, doing it in safe ways in community, releasing it from our physical body, right? I had a conversation with a colleague today about the importance of releasing everything that we get on us throughout the day, depending on what your job is, depending on what kind of work you do, we all are getting other people's stuff on us day in and day out. And it's settling somewhere. It's settling in your body. It's settling in the tension in your shoulders. It's settling in your hips. It's settling in the headaches and the migraines. It's settling in the clutter in your closet. Is settling in the dirt, in the crevices, in the corners of your floors. It's settling in, it is settling in somewhere. And so if we are not intentional about clearing out physically, clearing out mentally, clearing out spiritually, right? Identifying and then clearing out. The clearing out in the physical environment, like I said, looks like the decluttering, moving things around so that energy can move around you. The clearing things out physically can look like exercise, getting your rest, drinking water. I told my colleague today, if you can't do anything else when you've had a stressful day, drink some water. You will be surprised how healing water is. It's not about do you like it, it's not about do you want it. It's about it is magical. It is magical. It is healing. It is powerful. And if you have that mindset when you drink it, if you drink it and feel it go down your throat, down your chest, feel it move through your body, and envision it hydrating all of the areas that are stretched and tired and dehydrated, because when we're stressed, are we eating well? Are we eating at all? right? That's a running joke with anybody that knows me. I'm a tourist, and they say that tourists loves their things, and we love our food. But I remember one time in my last job, we I didn't have breakfast one morning, and we were about to order lunch, and my coworkers were being ridiculous and couldn't figure out who all was gonna order what. And I finally was like, I'm getting ready to go to Wendy's, and my supervisor said, "Well, like what would happen if you don't eat?" I didn't even know how to answer her because I said, "What do you mean?" She was like, "Well, like just what would happen? Like what happens? How do you get when you don't eat?" I was like, "What? I don't understand what you mean." And she was like, "What do you mean you don't understand what I mean?" I said, "I don't eat." I don't know how to answer that. I need to eat. I am my one of my best friends will send me the meme about the person that comes into work late with the Dunkin' Donuts because there ain't no need in being late and hungry. Like I already know that I'm gonna have to catch up. I already know that I might not be able to get out for lunch. So I'm going to eat. But there are people that when they are stressed, no food. Your body needs nourishment, right? And so I'm tying all of this together to say it does all work together. It does start when we are starting on a path of healing, of doing any type of work. We have to realize that there may be some difficult things that come up in that process. There may be some uncomfortable things. There may be some conversations that we need to have. The other thing that started coming up after this 28-day, the first 28-day, which, like I said, my intention was set around analyzing and evaluating the various relationships in my life and assessing how I show up in the ones that feel fruitful and fulfilling, and how do I show up or what is showing up in the ones that are stressful or less than fulfilling. And what I can also tell you without a shadow of a doubt is people from both areas started returning to my reality, meaning people that I had not been in connection with, people that I had good connections with, good partnerships, collaborations has started to pop back up, and people that left, and that it's okay that they left and they could have stayed where they were, they started popping up too. But the reason why both started popping up was because there was work for me to do with both of them. There was opportunity after this 28-day course and some of the things that I unpacked for me to respond, communicate, and show up differently. So people that I was in good relationship with but lost contact with started showing up. People that were not in my life for a good reason started showing up, and complete strangers with opportunities, like the young lady that I said does the feng shui. And so that was even an opportunity for me, right? An opportunity around how do I let people in? How am I able to see and identify what a dynamic is supposed to be, and how do I do that on this side of the work that I've intended to do? So I say all that to say it's a process. It's also no end. There's no period. Like I said, these last the 3 days that I was doing the decluttering, that was a release from the last 5 years, right? And I may need to do a different type of decluttering in the next 18 months. I may have to do another type of decluttering 5 years from now. Also, when we talk about all this going on astrologically, if you pay attention to astrology, and I reference the Chani app often, then she talks about when the planets move into certain signs, certain zodiac signs, and what that means. Jupiter just moved after 12 years. It has 12-year cycles. So I looked back and I looked back to see what was started 12 years ago, because that thing is wrapping up and a new 12-year cycle is about to begin, right? It's the opportunity for us to see the cycles in our lives and hold on to the ones that are working well, but release and discard the ones that are no longer serving us. Okay, so that was really just all I wanted to share this week. Let's see if there's anything else. I wanted to do the two readings. Oh, this, I think I said this already, but the piece about if I'm no good, it's no good, right? And so again, um, our opportunity to pour in and share and contribute to our communities, our environments, it does not have to be on a grand scale. It can be, and sometimes it will be. But just like Acts of Faith said, a simple smile. Okay, those of you that know me in my day job, I work at a YMCA. So today was the first day of summer camp. And my job was to be the greeter, right? I was in rides in, that's what we call it, rides in and rides out. But I was in rides in early in the morning, there to provide direction because we changed our rides in, rides out configuration. But I was there to provide direction to the parents, right? Which, as an adult, is helpful if you are rushing to drop your child off and you need to drop them off and make it to work or go wherever you're going, or maybe you're tired, maybe you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and the last thing you want is to end up on the other side of the building and not able to figure out where you needed to go. So for the adults, I was there to provide direction, but I also was a smiling face and a good morning and a welcome to summer camp and are you guys excited to the children. And the way that some of them perked up when they saw me and started waving and were just so excited. And that was my little contribution today. That was my contribution to the joy vibration on the earth today. The next piece of my contribution is going to be taking a hot bubble Epsom salt bath because I am exhausted. Because my contribution required a much earlier start to my day, and my contribution today required a much later end. So it's finding that balance. How do you give and pour out to your work community, your neighborhood, your children, your family, and replenish and restore and rejuvenate for yourself? Because we need both. The universe needs both. Our planet needs both. It needs us pouring out and it needs us taking care. Okay? So just remember that. We need to pour out, but we need to make sure we are taking care. All right. So until next time, you guys take care of yourselves and I will see you again. Bye bye.